Hey everyone, so this is the last video I'm doing in my Summer Lovin' series for the month of June that I did, and I didn't really know how to fit these in or really what to call them. It's kind of emotional, kind of just tips for the summer, overall well-being and building relationships. So I have a whole bunch of ideas, possible things that maybe you could think about incorporating into your summer. I homeschool, so our summers might and our school time looks a lot different than people who send their kids to school. A lot of times you have extra time with your kids on the summer. Some people homeschool year round, so that looks different. But anyway, at any rate, the summertime is usually a time where you have time to spend together as a family and you have a little bit more flexibility in your schedule to do some different things. So the first thing I want to mention is sleep. Make sure you are getting enough sleep and make sure your kids are getting enough sleep. I know if they don't have anywhere to be in the morning, it may be tempting to let them stay up super late, but if your kids are anything like mine, they're probably still going to wake up at the same time, even if they go to bed late. So make sure you are allowing enough time for sleep even when you're doing different special activities. Another thing I like to throw in for the summertime are arts and crafts. Throughout the year, arts and crafts tend to stress me out because of the mess and the preparation that it takes, but when the summertime comes around, I'm a lot more willing to do that because I have the time freedom to do so here at our house, and the weather usually cooperates, so a lot of times we will do super messy activities outside to alleviate any of those problems. But I'd encourage you to check things out based on where your kids are, as far as ability level and interest level. We really like to do different drawing activities, so there's a YouTube channel called Art Kids Hub. That one's really awesome, and it's an artist who walks you through different ways that you can draw and color pictures, so it's fun. They really like to just create, so sometimes I will get out the paint and just have them paint. That's something that you can do outside too. It's also fun if you have the time to learn a new skill together. So whether it be maybe a different language, or maybe you want to learn how to sew, or learning maybe a different game or a sport that you'd like to play together, that development and learning something new together can create a bond between you and other members of your family, so you all have something in common, a goal that you're working towards. So that's a great idea to try. Maybe pick a couple things that you want to try out, or a couple things you want to learn together. You can bake together in the kitchen and learn how to operate all of your kitchen tools, or put ingredients together to create something delicious. Those are great bonding experiences for you and your kids that you can do. And again, it's not as stressful usually in the summertime because that time is just there. I would also encourage you to reduce screen time. I know that's funny to say because you're watching this on a screen, but there are so many opportunities to get outside in the summertime. If it's super hot, we try and get out in the morning, so there's some fresh air. When you're outside, you're getting that vitamin D from the sun, which you need, and I like to encourage my kids to run around barefoot, so they're actually getting another blessing from the earth, because if you don't know anything about running around barefoot, that's called grounding, and you have positive and negative ions in your body. And usually we're overwhelmed with positive because of devices like this that you're watching this on. All electronics emit positive ions, and we need negative ions, and the earth gives those to you freely if you go outside barefoot without that rubber sole of your shoe to block that transfer of the positive and negative energy. So it's a great practice. If you have never gone outside and just stood for just a couple minutes barefoot, it's a great way to replenish those negative ions, which is great for your health. Sorry, I have lots of notes, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm staying on task here. Another thing that you could start, not necessarily in the summer, but all year, is a gratitude journal, because a lot of us are overwhelmed with so many things in our lives, and we tend to take things for granted. Most of us are very blessed and abundantly what we need. So simply writing things down that you're grateful for is a great practice, and it helps to instill joy even when you don't have happiness, because those two words are different. You can choose to be joyful even when you're unhappy, and having a gratitude journal is one easy way to do that. Another thing you can do as a family is to volunteer. That's another way of bringing joy in your life. You can always find people who need help, whether that's at like a homeless shelter, or maybe you have your kids go through their toys and donate them to a family in need. Maybe you make a meal and take it to a family in need. However that looks for your family, volunteering is a great humbling act and a great way for us to serve and bless others. So we always try and look for opportunities to volunteer. I like to make homeless bags with my kids, and sometimes our homeschool group will do it together. You just throw important necessities in a bag, like a toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, cash, snacks, that kind of stuff in a bag, and it's ready to go. So when you see someone in need, you can just hand that to them. And I like doing that in addition to giving them cash, because it gives them other things that they might need. But when they get cash, they might only think about, what they need as far as like eating, and they might not think about other things like gum and little treats like that we all enjoy. It's nice to stick those in there. And there are tons of ideas online if you look for homeless blessing bags to get you some ideas. I just like having that to hand over to them when I see someone in need. Another thing that I found that I want to try this year is to dance to music from other cultures, and I thought that was kind of intriguing. I think it was on a blog I saw, so we are going to try that. I always try and teach my children that diversity is what makes the world so beautiful, and that just because someone or something is different, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. So a lot of cultures have lots of differences from ours, and it's neat to study and learn about that. And then as you broaden your kids' horizons and they start learning about different people and different cultures and different lifestyles, they have a better appreciation for humans in general, and it helps to teach them empathy and to look at diversity as a blessing and something that we embrace, and that it's okay to be different, and that's how God made us, right? So it's great to incorporate that whenever you can. And I like to teach them about different cultures, but I never thought about music. We like to learn about different foods that cultures eat and different traditions that they have, but the music piece was missing. So I'm excited to incorporate that in and try that together as a family. I did mention going outside. I'm going to mention it again. Whenever you can, it's always a good idea to get outside, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And again, if it's super hot, maybe try it first thing in the morning before the heat of the day hits, and you want to get outside and soak up that vitamin D from the sun. And it has been proven that getting outside actually boosts your mood. When your body is getting all that vitamin D that it needs, it actually helps to boost your mood. It is important also throughout the summer, even though you may not have strict time schedules of like school that you have to be or places that you have to go, that you have some kind of routines. We still keep our morning routine and our evening routine pretty much the same, whether our girls are being homeschooled during the school year or if we're on summer break. Even when we go on vacation, we still try and keep a little bit of that there, because children do thrive on routine, right? So maybe you have some chores that they have to do, or at least cleaning up after themselves, and then at nighttime doing the whole bath before bed thing. It's very helpful to keep a routine in place for your children, even when there's no time constraints like during the school year you might have. Playdates are also super fun. We love playdates. We actually just came home for one. So playdates are great ways to build relationships with other people and other families, and teach your children how to interact with people of all ages. That is something that I love about homeschool. Our kids are used to being around kids of all ages. They have their siblings, they have adults, and just knowing how to communicate with different kinds of people as far as ages, and that's super important to us. So playdates are just another way to show them that and practice that and build those relationships. So anytime we can get together with another family, it's a great time together. So playdates are fun. You can just go over to somebody's house, or you can coordinate something fancy like going to a little bouncy place, or you can meet up at a park. If you do have older kids, I would encourage you to check out some kind of part-time work over the summer. That'll teach them a lot of life skills. It'll teach them responsibility and time management, and then you can start working with them on a budget. Because when I was in school, they didn't talk to us about money and balancing a checkbook, and I really didn't have any training on that. So when I became an adult, it was kind of learn as you go, and I made lots of mistakes, and it would be great if I had had more practice. So get your kids a checking account when they get a job, teach them how to balance the checkbook. If people still even do that, I still recommend it. Those are all great life skills that are going to prepare them for adulthood. So if they're old enough to get a job, part-time work, maybe if it's even just babysitting or working for a family member, it's going to teach them that responsibility. And then there's that whole money aspect, so they can start understanding that piece. Exercising is always a great idea. It's super easy to do in the summer for me because we're running outside, we're going to the playgrounds, we're swimming. All of those things are great ways to move your body. Anytime you can move your body is a good thing. Swimming is probably the easiest, and if you know any older people, swimming is great for them because it just helps give them more support, and it's not as hard on their joints when they are working out. So those are great tips to do. I also recommend counseling if you have anything that you need to hash out as far as emotionally, relationally. There are lots of great avenues there. Counselors get a bad rap, and therapists, a lot of people kind of view it like there's this whole stigma around it, like there's something wrong with you if you have to go to counseling. But my counselor, I've had several, one of them said going to the counselor is just kind of like going to the dentist. You just check in, and if everything's good, then you come back whenever, 6 months, a year, whatever. And if something is wrong, like when you go to the dentist and you have cavities or something, you have to come back and work through that. So it's the same with counseling. I think that everyone can benefit from that. There are lots of challenges in life, and there are lots of things that we don't know how to work through on our own, and someone who is trained can really help us work through those things. And a lot of our physical problems can be traced to spiritual problems and emotional problems. So if you can get those two realms under control, a lot of your physical problems may not be as prevalent, if that makes sense. And then the last one, modeling healthy relationships and boundaries for your kids, is something that I really try and focus on very hard. I don't think that it is an easy thing to do, but there are certain situations where you do have to set boundaries, and you have to say no to some things, and you have to model that for your kids so they know what to do when that comes to them, right? If you feel uncomfortable with something, you need to be able to explain that and express that in a loving way, of course, and set those boundaries for yourself and for your children. So those are just some tips. Randomness, I could have put them in other places, so I just dumped them all in this video. I hope that was helpful, and I hope that gave you some value. If you have any questions, or if you enjoyed this and would like to know more, you can let me know in the comments. You can send me a message. You can drop a heart in the comments if you want to learn more about my toxin-free living group that I have, and I hope that was a blessing.